Sorry for the technical issues there, guys. How's it going? Hi. Hello. Good to see you. Alright. We are figuring that all out. Anyway, welcome. It is a great Sunday. Hopefully you guys had a good St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you can see the screen. You're not too blasted at this point. I personally have not truly celebrated St. Patrick's Day in many years, but I do remember quite a bit of sort of unbridled, completely irresponsible fun. That was good times. Good times. Well, hopefully you guys had a nice, safe weekend. I actually went to a parade yesterday, and it was, you know, sort of a family-friendly, very boring, bougie white person sort of thing. But it was fun. Bunches of people running around giving out candy. You know, a couple, like, Irish dance troops running by. There were probably, I don't know, 10,000 people there or something. Maybe not that many, but a good amount. It was fun. Good time for the kids. Very, very wholesome, you know, basically real lame activity. So, it was good. But the big news that happened over this past week, for those of you who did not know, the senior med students all found out if and where they matched for their residency spots. So if you are not medically inclined, medicine is real weird in how they assign training positions. So residency is what you go, like, you go to med school, and then residency is what you go to get your specialty training. So, like, if you want to be a surgeon or an anesthesiologist in my case, or whatever, you go do that residency. And basically there's a computer algorithm that they, like, you go and interview at a bunch of places, and you rank those places, they rank you, and they all throw that stuff into an algorithm, and it spits out where you go. And it's a binding contract because we're idiots and allow that to happen. Anyway. So, yeah, that happened this week. So on Monday, they tell you if you matched, like if you matched into a spot, and then on Friday they tell you where you matched. And in between, there's like a little lag time for people who did not match initially to get a spot amongst the programs that didn't fill. And so, ideally, everybody gets a spot by Friday, and we all celebrate, and everything's happy, and then all of these people go and get, you know, their asses pounded for 3 to 7 years doing cheap manual labor, and yeah, everybody has a great time. So that happened. Med students matched into their residencies, and that is super exciting. Residency is crazy challenging and often brutal and unrewarding. However, it is the necessary evil and stepping stone to the career that you want, which is probably going to be very fulfilling. So, that's awesome. Congratulations to all of you. And I do have good news. I won't call them out individually in case they don't want to be publicly recognized, but as far as I'm aware, everyone who follows this stream regularly who was participated in the match did in fact match. And I know for a fact at least one of them got their top choice, which is fantastic news. So, congratulations again to all of you guys. That's amazing. I say a lot of this stuff, you know, kind of tongue-in-cheek, because residency is super hard, no doubt about it, but it's a huge step in your life and your career. You should be proud of yourselves. Go get them. It's awesome. There are few finer feelings in life than taking that step, because now you're gonna get to do what you wanted to professionally, for as long as you feel like you want to do it. Oh, what the fuck just happened there? There we go. Sorry, OBS had a seizure or something. Yeah. So that's cool. Everybody... Oh! Hang on. So, I did. Yeah. Everything should be square. What? No, I didn't actually. Tonight I forgot to do that. Sorry. But he ate. I did not. I forgot. I think he'll live without gravy. I did not give our cat gravy on his food. I'm a terrible person. Anyway. I totally forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so I don't think there's been any like official statistics or anything released. Somebody in Discord did suggest a site that I go to look at that, which actually maybe I should do now. But it sounds like match was brutal this year. as expected, it was basically if you're trying to get any specialty other than primary care, it was just a bloodbath. Even obstetrics, which is historically not particularly competitive, even obstetrics was like a real pain in the ass to match, I guess. Sheriff of Sodium. So I guess that means I have to go on Twitter. I don't want to do that. Oh, it's X now, right. Here, I'll just... Sheriff of Sodium. Salty about medical education. Okay. Oh, this is Brian Carmody. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Match Day 2024. Winners and Losers Edition. Alright. Winner Emergency Medicine. So yeah, emergency only, so when they say only 135 positions went unfilled, that is ridiculously bad. That is crazy bad. Last year, though, it was 554 because people, like, emergency medicine's basically been bucked by private capital, or venture capital, and private equity, who have sort of horned their way into the residency business, where they offer way too many spots, and then there's also this, like, you know, perfect storm where mid-level practitioners are getting involved in emergency medicine also. So like supply is increasing out of control and demand is decreasing out of control. So that's a real rough spot to be in. But still, 135 unfilled positions is like unheard of. There are numerous specialties which have 0. Like most of the specialties have 0. Loser pediatrics. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Soap crisis. Here, I'm gonna increase this size so you can see it. Soap crisis was coming for pediatrics next. This year, 27% of categorical residency programs, which just means residency programs. Unfilled positions rose to 251. Yeah, it's because pediatrics is a terrible choice of profession, objectively speaking. Like, the pay is terrible, and you work just as hard as everybody else. I don't know why that's, like, I don't know. Don't say I didn't warn you, like, okay. Of course that's gonna happen, right? You can only trade on the privilege of, like, so there's this kind of aura around working in a children's hospital where it's like, it's supposed to be a privilege to treat kids. Like, you're supposed to give up your, you know, body and soul to take care of children. And there are a lot of people willing to do it, because, like, routinely pediatricians are, in surveys at least, the happiest at their jobs. But they are woefully undercompensated, which I will demonstrate to you here. Resources. Where is that? It's in here somewhere. There it is. So, national median for pediatricians. Pediatrics, general, $246,000, which, you know, superficially, that's pretty decent, but when you consider, you know, there's basically everything else makes 20 to 100% more money. Like, it's a terrible deal. Why would you choose that? And they, you know, residency is still 3 years, you get the shit kicked out of you all the same, your med school debt is the same. Yeah, so, like, clearly that's unsustainable, right? Nobody's gonna keep going into this profession that you make so much less money in and work just as hard. So it's not like he's some great prophet saying, oh, well, pediatrics is gonna be hit hard. Like, yeah. Yep, duh. Let's see, largest number of unfilled positions was the same as last year, because it's always family medicine. There's just tons of family practice programs, and like, family medicine, internal medicine, well, to a lesser extent internal medicine, but family and pediatrics in particular are just like, they fill if they can, kind of thing. There are so many like rural practice programs that just like never fill. Human beings respond to financial incentives. No way. Let's see. That's kind of an interesting chart. Average annual compensation and unfilled residency positions. That's awesome. Wow, internal medicine had 494 unfilled positions? Jeez. That's surprising. Yeah, anesthesia. Anesthesia sounds like it is ludicrously competitive these days. Good thing I'm not matching that now. I probably wouldn't have matched. I was merely above average when I matched. I didn't have any research or any of that stuff, so... yeah. Could have been interesting. Yeah, and OB, only 6 unmatched programs, man. Yeah, OB, I hear, was surprisingly competitive this year, and that doesn't... I don't get it, frankly. I do not get it. I mean, part of that is personal bias. Like, I would leave medicine before doing OB. I can't stand it. It sounds like a terrible specialty. But, you know, more power to the people who enjoy it. I'm sure there are lots of people who can do anesthesia. So, but yeah, I don't. What's a better way to put this? So the specialties that have experienced a big surge in popularity recently, as far as I can tell, are anesthesia, radiology, and psychiatry. So anesthesia's job market is just absolutely batshit bonkers crazy awesome right now. Like, pay in this area, in the Kansas City area, has increased like 25% over the past 3 years. I mean, just like an insane increase in compensation due to demand. Basically, there's more people. Anesthesia to the moon, yeah, baby. You got in while you could. Congratulations on that. But yeah, it's a good place to be. How's life going for you, by the way? Intern year treating you okay-ish, hopefully. But yeah, like, anesthesia's market is bonkers, so, like, you know, I get that. It's a good job, and a lot of people are sort of starting to realize that, and they're wanting to get into it and cash in and, you know, be able to work wherever they want. That makes perfect sense. Radiology and psych, kind of the same way, but the salary isn't quite as insane. However, they have lots of prospects for remote work, which is really nice, and that's, you know, kind of become a thing since the pandemic, so that's a desirable prospect. OB doesn't really have any of those perks. It's, I don't know who let me in. It sucks. Intern year sucks. Yeah, no matter how you slice it, intern year is just freaking terrible. But some rotations are better than others. I would say I had 2 valuable I'll say 3. I had 3 valuable rotations in my intern year that were not anesthesia. And they were my first one, which is renal, and the renal, like the kidney nephrology department at KU was amazing, so good. Like some of the leaders in the field work there, and they were taught constantly. And I mean, part of it was that was my first rotation of residency, and so I learned a lot of, you know, just sort of like logistical stuff. Then Pillager's Gold. Oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, so I may be seeing that through like rose-tinted glasses in terms of how educational it was, but I did feel like I got a lot out of that. And then the next one was renal consults, which, you know, again, same reasons. And then ICU. And the ICU just because patients are so sick and there's so much to learn there. But other than that, I was pretty much just a note jockey. I did not feel like I got much out of intern year at all. I was just a workforce. Which is frustrating. But, and I mean, there's some value to, like, pounding out a bunch of notes and just learning how to be efficient. But I feel like that, that value wears thin pretty fast. Well, don't worry, there haven't been that many streams. I've been getting absolutely railed by my toddler, so, you haven't missed much. I've been trying to stream as much as possible, and man, I have just been tired more than anything. I'm hoping that's gonna go away. She's down to 1 nap now, so days are at least a little bit more predictable. Yeah. We're getting there on the overnight sleep. I say that, and she woke up at like 3:45 in the morning this morning, so take that with a grain of salt. Surgery service, UN1 senior had 57 patients. Holy shit. There's a lot of patients. Would not recommend that. Would not recommend that at all. Man, that is a lot of patients during the day. But yeah, I'm glad you're still around. It seems like we've sort of distilled the stream down to a loyal few, because I haven't streamed much over the past year. It's been like once every 2 weeks for the most part. It was terrible. Dude, it sounds awful. We covered the closest thing that I had to that in residency was night shift, and our night float we covered, I think, of like 100-ish patients, something like that. Well, maybe not that many. I think it's probably like 80. And that was pretty bad. Like there was a one of my night weeks, like we did 2 weeks at a time, two-week stints, and one of the periods they were basically like auditing the nurses to see how many times they called, because there were so many ridiculous pages. Like the nurses where I trained were literally instructed to call the doctors for everything. Like they actually were told, call for everything, even if you can handle this, you call for it. And they did. They did. We were getting hammer paged constantly. But what I would do is I would go around and, like, every floor that had a patient that I was covering, I would say, hey, I'm with this team. Does anyone here need anything? And, it was amazing. It was a great thing to do. Increase spell damage. I don't think I want that. Oops. Wait, did that drop as weird colored? Yeah. Gotta get that out of there. So I saved myself a lot of calls that way, because I pretty much every time, and I would wait for shift change. So I'd go shift change was at 7, so I'd go at 9 o'clock or something, after they'd kind of had a chance to settle in, get report and all that, and touch base. And that saved me a lot of calls. That was a pro move. Rutabangas, what's up, dude? How are you? Welcome. What's going on? Long time no see. But yeah, anyway, I would do that, and I routinely got, 30 calls a night or something like that. And they were like, how'd you only get called 30 times last night? That's ridiculous. And Cockroach Princess, thank you for joining, dude. Good to see you. Yeah, 30 calls. After I did, like, everything I could to mitigate more than that, you know? I think the other people are getting called, like, 50, 60, 70 times. Which is insane. The notion that you can get called 50 times overnight is just absolutely mind-blowing. What were the matches for Derm, and how many soap positions were there for Derm? I think there was one unfilled Derm program, if I'm not mistaken. Which is, you know, not unusual. Like, a lot of times, like, and I think one ortho position was unfilled, too. Like, sometimes the algorithm just fucks up, and, you know, it's not perfect. Oh, that's cool. Did I ever have an interest in cardiac anesthesiology? Absolutely. Yeah, I actually do a fair bit of it. We have a rather sleepy cardiac program at the hospital I work at, and there's only one guy in our group who's cardiac trained, and I kind of enjoy doing hearts, so, like, I do, like, the second most. I would say he does, like, 2/3 of the hearts, or maybe even a little more than that, and I do the remainder. And we do about 150 hearts a year, so I'm usually doing like 50-ish a year, something like that. But yes, I have a lot of interest in cardiac anesthesia. It's great. I mean, it's very high risk compared to everything else because the patients are so sick, but it's still, it's kind of like everything anesthesia all at once. Like, if you can do cardiac anesthesia, you can do anything. You don't need a fellowship for it. Strictly speaking, you don't. But there is one. It's one of the accredited fellowships for anesthesia, and it is a great fellowship to do. It's definitely a value add because you will be much more employable. However, I do work at a kind of like medium-ish size community hospital, and so we all just do everything. There's only like a couple people in our group that don't do hearts. Most people would prefer to not do hearts. I don't mind it at all. Oh, shoot. Let's shatter some things, shall we? But yeah, if you want to do hearts at a bigger institution, like an academic place, and like really get into it, then yes, you need a fellowship to do hearts. Because they'll just kind of toss you into a general pool of an anesthesiologist if you are not trained. Which is fine. I mean, whatever. But yeah, I like sort of keeping my my skills up doing that. How does anyone get 200 publications? I don't know. That's all just like rat race nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Like, you know that those are all trash publications. They're just like, you know, case reports or, you know, some like half-assed meta-analysis. You know, it's all bullshit. That's just a huge waste of time. I am firmly against having research as a requirement for qualification for med school or residency. I think it's ridiculous. I don't see how that's a useful thing to do. This is the short version of the story. Like, if you want to do research, it's great. But, like, in my opinion, med school should be for training clinicians. And that's the mission statement of most schools, is that they want to train, like, it's pretty much that they want to train primary care doctors, basically. Yeah, and yet, you still have to have all this research to get in. Like, what? Okay, cool. I mean, I see the value in, like, research courses, you know, teaching people how to research and like critically evaluating it, but as far as like participating in it goes, why do you need that? Am I a big research guy? Absolutely not. I have no interest in performing research whatsoever. I read it, like I keep up with current research by, you know, virtue of reading all the like mailers and stuff that we get, and, like trends in the field and whatnot, but I could not have less interest in performing research. Is there such a thing as pediatric OB? There is, actually. There is. So, in terms of... But that's for more, like, weird like anatomical pathology of pediatric OB. Well, so pediatric gyne. Pediatric OB is like in most states that I'm aware of, if you are pregnant, you can consent for anything that has to do with your care or your fetus's care. You are considered I don't know if emancipated is the right word. That's not the right word. You're considered like, what's the word? Help me out here, guys. I can't talk. I fix people, not English. Like, you are able to consent. You are legally able to consent for your care. I don't know why I can't think of the word. But, in any event, yeah, so if you're like 13 and having a baby, you know, it's not the best idea that I can think of, but you are legally able to consent for all of your care and your baby's care. In most places. That is a state-by-state thing. Let's see. What was my second ranking after anesthesia? Probably ortho, actually. I really liked ortho. I was not qualified for it, though. I was not at all qualified for ortho. Ooh, that's a lot of cast speed. That's a lot of penetration. Physical penetration. Is it permanent, or like once you're no longer pregnant? Yes, so that's only for you while you are pregnant. As soon as you're not pregnant anymore, you go right back to needing parental consent, unless it's for your kid. You can consent for your baby. Which is so weird. There's a lot of, like, very strange, like, edge cases for all this, like, ethical consent stuff. It's very, yeah, it's murky at best, in my opinion. I prefer to leave all that sort of stuff to the ethicists and just move on. Like, here you go, ethics team. I'm doing this. You tell me what I can do and what I can't do. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Have a family friend who switched from ortho and anesthesia? Yeah, that happens. For sure. Ortho is pretty rough, especially residency. Ortho residency is hardcore. So I do not blame them. Chance to slow attackers. I don't think I want that, so I'm gonna shatter it. What's the prefix up there? Listen, cool. What's my lowest ranking specialty? Ooh, pediatrics would be... It's a tough race between peds and gyne. I would very much hate to be in either of those. Pediatric anesthesia's okay. I don't hate it, but kids do crash a lot, like, precipitously. They're tough. They're, like... The problem with children is they compensate super well. So, like, if they're doing badly, you gotta pay like very careful attention at all times to be sure that they're not like nearing the edge of a cliff. Because if they start doing badly, they just like their like compensatory mechanisms get like outmatched. They just dump. So they're like fine, crash. Whereas adults generally they kind of are like, you know, on a slope where they're like, oh, this guy's kind of doing worse, and he's doing progressively worse, and doing progressively worse. It's not this, like, sudden just tank situation, which is what kids have to offer. So that's not awesome. But it is, you know, satisfying to take care of a kid. So I understand the whole, like, pediatrics appeal. Because kids are, you know, generally haven't had time to destroy their own bodies yet. Or not care about themselves. So it's a little bit easier to, like, invest in them. Neonatology is pretty cool. Yeah, it is a very different world, man. They do shit that like nobody else even thinks about. I do find neonatology kind of interesting because it's just such a foreign world. You know, like doing massive surgeries on people, on babies with like nothing but paralytic and some pain medicine. Or like intubating without sedation and, you know, all of these weird things like, oh, we're gonna give him a 1/4 liter per minute of oxygen and it's gonna make a big difference. What? Okay. Whatever you say. Ooh. This one to falconry, you say? Oh. Only level 1 or 2. That's a pretty good helmet for me. Oh, man. Damage of skills used by shadows. That doesn't do much for me. I wonder if I should chaos that. Let's see what that turns into. Man, fuck me. Oh well. Damn. Okay, I'm just gonna shatter that. Is HCA big where I'm at? Yeah, there's. I think HCA is pretty much big in every metro area, honestly. Yeah, there's. Let's see. Off the top of my head, I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4 HCA hospitals in the area. There's probably more than that. That's just a very quick brain scan. What are these? Those are all class specific. That's pretty cool. Leadership seems toxic? Well, I mean, it's just corporate leadership, right? They're bottom line driven. Like, to a fault. So, yes, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, so the HCA hospitals here are, from an anesthesia standpoint, are managed by, like, the biggest anesthesia group in town. Which is kind of nice. So at least you have a little bit of collective bargaining-ish to work with. Let's see, where's this point gonna go? But yeah, you've got a little bit of protection, because at least there's like a bunch of doctors that you have to work with, and you know, they have some leverage. Hey Dre, what's up? What is with the gas match this year? So I don't actually know much about it, to be honest. You tell me, what is with the gas match this year? I heard that it was extremely competitive. Last year, like the last few years, really have been totally competitive. But welcome to the stream, by the way. Thanks for joining. We're an independent group. We're not part of any corporation or anything. That said, we've just been acquired by a university hospital. Or, correction, our hospital has partnered with a university hospital, and we are unsure of what that means for the hospital itself and for our group. Med student told you only 55% of applicants matched? What the fuck? It is KU. It is totally KU. But we'll see. We'll see. Like, they took over a hospital in central Kansas, in Topeka, Kansas, and basically left them alone. But by contrast, they took over another hospital in the metro area, the KC Metro, and pretty much assimilated that anesthesia group. But it was by that group's desire. Like, they were sort of hemorrhaging cash and needed bigger stipends and stuff, and so they just wanted to be employed by the hospital and asked them to do it. So I don't really know what's in store for us. Rock Chalk. We'll see. We'll see. God, 55% of applicants? That's monstrous. Wasn't neurosurgery like 68% or something? I mean, I know there's a lot of self-selection there, but like, damn, dude. That is absolute craziness. I don't know, man. I don't know about all that. Where's this point gonna go? Highest added crit chance, Falcon crit. I don't really care about crit for that. I'm a bleed build, fool. Maybe I'll go over here. More damage, multiple targets. Tripled for Falcon strikes? Huh. Tripled against moving target. Yeah, so that's generic, right? That's for everything. Not just for Falcon strikes. That's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't, I have a very difficult time because of how the match has gone in the past few years. I have a very difficult time recommending medicine to a career as anyone, and this is why. You're unlikely to do what you want to do, frankly, right? Like, there's a even in the sort of like moderately competitive things, match rates are what, in the 80s? Like, so you're gonna sign up and take on a couple $100,000 of debt to have a 4 out of 5 chance of doing what you want? I mean, that is just like unfathomable. What's the motivation there? I don't know. It's that is a tough sell, in my opinion. That is a very tough sell. And I understand that, you know, it's not a given that you do what you want in other professions. Like, maybe you want to be, like, management of something and you have to work your way up to that, and there's no guarantee you'll get a promotion and blah, blah, blah. But, man, to just, like, be flat out denied permanently from what you want to do, tough to say that's a good idea. You know? It is real tough for me to say that's a good idea. Each second for 4 seconds. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Why don't I do that? And puncture. Last point in puncture. What do I want? So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it's something that's like on my mind constantly, because, like, you know, my kid's 7, and he sees dad come home in scrubs and he's like, I want to be a doctor. I'm like, yeah, great, cool. But in my mind I'm thinking, fuck that, man. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Used with a melee weapon. I don't know that that's gonna count for when I proc it. Residencies chewed you up and you're only halfway. Oh, you're looking for medicine jobs in KC Metro? Oh, dude. Are you from KC? I didn't know that. This is an awesome place to live, if not. How was match day back then? Oh, match day was freaking crazy, man. I was trashed all day long. I had a party at my house, and then the school put on a really nice event at an event space. Like, delicious catered food, live music. It was a huge deal. It was a ton of fun. That was like one of the most relieving, satisfying moments of my life, to be honest with you. That was like, I mean, you know, you're gearing up for a solid, you know, pounding over the next couple of years. But just to, like, know that you're actually going to achieve your goal at some point is, like, such a relief. Such an unbelievable relief. Match day 05? No, damn it, I'm not that old. It was, when did I match? 2012 is when I graduated med school. Jerk. Let's see, hit damage for negative ailment. I don't know that I really want hit damage, though. Do I really want hit damage? Probably want more fizz shred. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. Let me get out of this screen. And so if you need Dre, if you need recs for like where to live or anything like that, or for people to like check in on jobs if you don't have any connections locally, I'm more than happy to provide those services for you privately, of course. Just send me a DM. Join Discord if you haven't already.
Not happening.
But yeah, this is a good place to, you know, live your life. Yeah, no problem. Of course. Do you have any interest, out of curiosity, do you have any interest in, like, direct primary care? Just, like, doing cash for service type stuff? That's always been something I've really been interested in. And I see it as the way of the future. It's gonna take a while to catch on, but especially because you have to, like, for it to really take off, you have to be able to loop surgical services into it. And that's gonna be hard. But I think it can work and be very lucrative. Do we have any DOs in our practice? I'd say we're like half DOs, actually. There's actually the dude who's cardiac trained is a DO. He's freaking badass, man. I would trust anybody in my group to take care of me. They're all very safe, very good. Yeah, the whole like DO bias thing is a real shame because functionally it makes no difference in my opinion. Like once you're trained, you're all trained, right? I mean, it's the same shit regardless of the name, the initials after your name. 2 DPC practices of offering jobs, nice, cool. It's your eventual goal. Very, very cool. Please keep me astride of that. I am quite interested in how that goes. Sort of my tinfoil hat backup plan is, you know, if the government goes like full socialist and does the whole like government provided healthcare thing and slashes reimbursement and, you know, guts the whole like medicine pay scale stuff, I'm just gonna go totally privatized, like concierge medicine, cash pay only sort of thing. And I kind of keep that in the back of my mind at all times, like people to network with and, you know, surgeons to like open a surgery center with and all that sort of stuff, like a private hospital. That's always something that's kind of on my radar. So yeah, definitely let me know how that goes for you. Your academic program treats DOs exact same as MDs. Well, that's good. I mean, why would you not? Especially once they're there. I mean, if you've got the scores, you got the, you know, all of like objective findings backing you up, you come and interview well, like what's the difference? Hey Matt, what's up, dude? You get to do this next year, if I am not mistaken. You get to match, go through the meat grinder like the rest of us. Going to DO school, so it's a steeper climb. Yeah, it's preliminary reports for DOs are not great in this year's match, dude. I'm sorry to say. It seems like the advantage for American MD students is growing all the time. I'm shitting bricks. I mean, you kind of should be. Like, these matches are progressively awful. More awful, in fact. I was just saying earlier, like, I find it pretty tough to recommend medicine to anybody because there's such a high probability that you won't be able to do your profession of choice. Anesthesia has a historically high match rate for DOs, like this year in particular? Really? That's interesting. Do you have those data? Can you link those data in stream?
Yes.
I would like to look at that. Hey, good gosh darn, what's up, man? Welcome. Is there hopium? There's always hopium. Of course. And trends change, you know. Like, when I applied anesthesia, I mean, it's not that long ago. It's, what, eight years ago? Yeah. Like, it was kind of medium-ish, like, directly in the middle, competitiveness-wise. Like, it was, you know, fairly easy to get into. Like, my scores were... I think like step scores were like 70th percentile, 80th percentile. So like good, but not outstanding. And I've got a shitload of interviews. So, I mean, yeah, I had no problem matching whatsoever, and no research at all. I think above average clinical grades. I got like mostly A's, and we did A, B, C, D, F. So I got mostly A's, and I think like maybe 1 or 2 B's. So good clinical grades. I think I was, you know, probably top third of my class, something like that. Maybe top quarter. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like these days that's a maybe. You know, like you're, especially with the no research part, like you're just chopped liver. Or just talking to boomer anesthesia. I'm not a fucking boomer, you dick. Damn it. Get off my lawn while you're at it. No, I know. I'm kidding too. I kid. But I mean, it was, like, to your point though, it was totally different. It was a completely different environment 8 years ago. Like, for me, it was a very stress-free endeavor. Like, I think I've quoted this number multiple times, and I feel like I say it differently every time, but like, when I looked at the statistics, and at the time it was like, if you had 7 interviews, you were like 98% likely to match or something. And I think I went on like 18 interviews. I even had the luxury of not ranking 2 programs. I mean, it just was like not a concern, you know. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna match somewhere. And I did match my top choice. And like all of the programs that I applied to were in, you know, relatively undesirable locations like Midwest, Mid-South. I didn't really apply to anything like coastal on either side, so that helped. You know, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna match. But these days, man, that's not at all the case. You're like, they're taking top tier people. You put a pick in general? Okay. I'll look at that in a second. We will evaluate. Hey, Sable, what's up? Welcome. Oh, I've been neglecting Discord. Shit. Okay, nobody said anything. Wonderful. You're on surgery and they're talking about M4s. The resident said one of them got 14 interviews and attending said that's good. I mean, that's historically been a lot because you had to physically go to your interviews. I don't understand why he would be concerned or confused by that. Like, going to 14 interviews, like, I did 16, or like I said, I did 18. Oh, that was rough. I did 18, and that was, like, I could only do that because I was fortunate enough to cluster most of them. Like, I did all 3 of my Chicago interviews in 1 week. There's no way I could have. And then, on top of that, I did one in, like, I took a megabus, which is a very weird experience. Took a megabus to St. Louis, and did 2 interviews there, and then where did I go from there? I think maybe I went back to Little Rock, but there were, like, most of my interviews were, like, in geographic clumps, and like, there's no way I could have done it if I hadn't, like, gotten lucky with planning. If I talked to older anesthesiologists and see what their experience was with the match? No, I actually haven't. That might not be a bad idea. That's kind of interesting. Back in my day, it was easier. Yeah, it was. Totally was. I'm not ashamed. It totally fucking was. Okay, let's see here. Let's see this, let's pick. Oh wow, they increased the number of anesthesia positions by 100 from last year? Fair enough. Wait, so why is this a historical win for Dios? I guess I don't understand what you mean by that. Wrong. I was like, not really seeing why that's a good thing. wonder what match day in 87 was like? I do not know. I know anesthesia for a long time was, like, dog shit. It was not desirable at all. And I think it sort of peaked in the 90s. But was not a good, considered a good specialty for a long time. Match day winners and losers. Yeah, we were just looking at that. Why was it not desired? I don't know. I mean, like, the specialty hasn't really changed. Other than being less lucrative, because there are lots of procedures, like pain procedures in particular, that were used to be reimbursed way better. I mean, you could make 7 figures doing pain in the, like, late 90s. That's, you know, what is that in real dollars? Probably 1.5 million? Who knows? Looked down upon because not surgeon. No, I mean, that whole, like, you know, surgeon, anesthesia, headbutting thing has always been a historical thing, but I mean, I don't think that was ever, like, a problem, really. Oh, that was percent overall? Oh, it's just, yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Sorry, I'm getting these messages in piecemeal. OBS is kind of being weird in how it's displaying the messages. Let's try this again. Maybe I won't get hit by a giant explosion this time. Oh, I only have 36 fire res. That's probably part of why that killed me. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about earlier, like, basically anything that's not primary care, and even some things that are, like, OB is generally considered primary care. Everything that's not primary care is, like, you got a 85% chance or less of matching into it. And, you know, I understand that's not really how probability works, right? But, that's scary. That's a scary prospect. That you have such a high percentage of just, like, not getting the specialty you want. Ugh. No thanks, man. Reach of the grave. Yeah, I will be, I think, so this is even years or charting outcomes in the match years, right? So that'll be very interesting to see, like, you know, the detailed breakdown of how that works, of how match went down. Very interested to see that. I mean, my personal opinion is that the match is outdated and needs some pretty hardcore adjusting, especially to account for virtual interviews. Like, that's been a nightmare for programs. It seems like they're having a real hard time figuring out who actually wants to come to their program, because just everybody applies everywhere, and even with the, like, signaling system thing, that's pretty half-assed. I mean, it used to be like the signal is, hey, this person flies halfway across the country to come to your program. You know, that's sort of an obvious indicator that they're interested in going there, they're willing to, you know, spend their time and money to show up. But, you know, and all you have to do is, like, connect to a Zoom meeting and, like, put on a suit coat but no pants. Then, you know, the personal investment is minimal, like, if any. Like, you just kind of take time out of your day that day, really. So I think people are matching way farther down their rank list because the program's just like, they're like, I don't know, I guess this person wants to come here. 2022 match for DO was 500 applied and 260 matched, 52%. Okay. What was it this year? Did you say that and I just missed it? Put back in Discord. Running away. Let's see here. Ah, there we are. This is this year. Oh no, this is. I was gonna say I've seen this. That's, yeah. This be old. Yeah, that's 2022. Oh, fuck. This is surprising to me. Oh, number of programs. Positions offered, let's see. Unfilled programs, 3 for OB. Huh. Let's see. DO seniors. I'm just interested in OB because it's such an anomaly to me. I don't understand why it's like suddenly getting much more competitive. It doesn't make sense. OB-GYN prelim? Why would you do an OB-GYN prelim? That sounds terrible. Less than 500 applied and 245 matched. Okay. 60% overall this year. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's what you were talking about earlier. I understand. Yeah, maybe if you want OB and you like have to scramble into, or excuse me, soap into a program, then you just do an OB prelim. I guess. That does not sound like something I would want to do. but okay. Yeah, and I guess if it is an OB thing and you like reapplied the next year, you could theoretically like just hop into the program in the second year spot. I don't know. I know a couple people who did that with surgery. God, I'm so glad I didn't have to do that shit. Man. Just match one time, go to one place, don't worry about it. You know, minimal pressure. Life is good. OB match rates for DO was 52%. It looked like it was higher than that, but it's still not as high as I would have thought. Like, OB is kind of climbing in competitiveness. And again, I can't really figure out why, because there's nothing that's really changed for that specialty. Like, anesthesia's demand is like through the freaking roof, and salary is increasing accordingly. But OBs, it's from what the OBs I've talked with say, like their reimbursement is decreasing pretty rapidly with a lot of the new like Medicare rules and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, across the board, like every specialty's, you know, increasing in demand because everybody retired during COVID. Anybody who could even like, you know, sniff retirement was like, yeah, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. But, oh, that's gonna hurt. But yeah, so like every specialty has an increase in demand, and was probably, you know, sort of on the understaffed side overall to begin with. But that's like nothing unusual has happened on that front in OB as far as I'm aware. Yeah, hang on. Let's go back to that the OB-easy. What's this now? Obstetrics. No, it's gotta be higher than that. 249 out of 381 is higher than 54%. Either way, I haven't read my personal statement. Dude, my personal statement for, like, I'm a pretty good writer, so, like, you know, your mileage may vary, but, I wrote my personal statement for residency in, like, 45 minutes. I took so much time and effort in writing my, statement for med school, and I feel like it didn't really make any difference, and I was like, you know what, fuck this. Nobody's gonna read it, it doesn't freaking matter, and I wrote it in under an hour. And it was like, okay, but it was very generic and, you know, I think very uninteresting, and was just something that, like, you know, they'd probably look at and be like, okay, he checked that box, let's move on. Do I think AI will put docs out of business? Um, you know, I don't actually. I think that AI will just be used as a tool, like a diagnostic tool, more than anything. Kind of like a check yourself sort of thing, because there's already like plenty of resources that, like UpToDate, for instance, where you can look up anything you want. You know, all the information's already there. AI is just going to make it a little bit easier to access that information. And then, like, you know, obviously, like, procedural specialties are safe for a very long time until that AI becomes extremely advanced. So, you know, advanced enough to, like, safely perform a surgery, that is. So yeah, I don't think that'll be much of a concern, at least in the near future. Down the line, sure, maybe, you know, 10, 15 years from now, stuff like, well, so here's what I think. So long term, especially for things like radiology or, you know, clinic or something, it's gonna be used as a, AI will be used as a throughput enhancer. Basically, you're probably just gonna have a physician, like, chilling and reviewing, like, doing chart review and just, like, hitting buttons, basically, to slam people through a clinic. So it's just gonna, it'll change how doctors are used, but I don't think it'll, like, eliminate any jobs, if that makes sense. But I still have my residency personal statement somewhere. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe. I do save stuff like that usually, but I don't think I have that. AI doesn't know how to ignore things? That's an interesting point. Yeah. That is an interesting point. You're right. Yeah, so that'll probably, you know, it's, so what I was kind of getting at is it'll be a screening tool. So, you know, if it pops out like, might have massively dangerous fatal disease, and then the physician sees that and they're like, well, fuck, better rule out massively fatal dangerous disease. And they go see the patient and they're like, ah, they don't have massively fatal degenerative disease. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, it'll just be different, if anything. It won't necessarily be, like, fewer doctors, it'll just be different. You don't know how to say you like anesthesia without sounding like you know more than you do? I mean, say you like anesthesia. Just be like, yeah, I did these rotations. It's really cool. Don't come up with some, like, you know, batshit pre-med story where you say, like, at that moment I knew I wanted to be an anesthesiologist. Oh, okay. Cool. It's like how EKGs talk too much. That's a really good example. So if you guys don't know what an EKG readout looks like, I'm just gonna Google this. So it spits out, like, possible, you know, pathologies that your patient might have. Let's see if this is actually, well, that's not what I wanted. But yeah, like at the here we go. I think this is it. Come on now. Okay, well, this is a shitty example, but like up here in this like fringe area, it'll say like, consider possible inferior infarct, like right bundle branch block, and like all this different stuff that might be going on with your patient. And generally it's like nothing, you know, there's nothing happening. But it'll raise the alarm for like, your patient's having a heart attack right now. Send him to the cath lab. But nothing's happening. You kind of have to. Yeah, sometimes you do. Honestly, like, I definitely have been like, well, fuck, cardiology. On numerous occasions. Or I get an EKG on somebody and it says something like scary. You know, or it's like a shitty EKG and there's like lots of like vibrations in it and it tells you the patient's in AFib. That happens. But yeah, I think you're right that AI will be very similar. That's an excellent analogy. I'm gonna probably steal that at some point in the near future. But yeah, there's definitely like there's a lot of ass-covering medicine these days. That's just sort of the climate we live in,
Not happening.
and that's okay. You know, the cardiologists are generally okay to, you know, see a consult that takes them 10 minutes to be like, nah, it's not AFib, and charge for it. You know, that's not a huge deal. I love putting people to sleep. It's a passion of mine. No, no, no. You don't say that shit. You tell them, like, oh, you know, I enjoy how you're manipulating physiology. And, like, the pace of work. And the operating room environment. The variety of cases. The fact that you're a generalist. These are all things you talk about. Not the fact that you want to get your really obnoxious, extremely morbidly obese patient to sleep as soon as possible so you don't have to talk to them anymore. That's not what you write.
Might have to drop something.
Clinic made me suicidal. Exactly. I mean, that actually might be a plus. Where they're like, me too. That's why I'm here. But yeah, for real, fuck clinic. Yeah. No thanks. No thanks. I would fire so many patients. I mean, like, an unbelievable amount of patients. I would be so mad at people. So you're on blood pressure meds. I see your blood pressure is 500 over 200 today. Why is that? Well, my blood pressure was fine, so I stopped taking my blood pressure meds. Oh, well, why don't you get the fuck out of my clinic right now? Have a great life. I want to give medicine without getting consent, yes. Yes. So there was a guy in my class, actually, who applied anesthesia. And he told at least 2 programs that one of the reasons he liked anesthesia so much is that he got to control people like they were marionettes. He did not match anesthesia, as you might imagine. Yeah. Yeah. I guess not, Jesus. Had a 230 systolic, okay. With, like, stroke-like symptoms? Intermittent stroke-like symptoms, that's fun. Why was her pressure so high? Did she have, like, some weird shit, like a FIO or something? That is a remarkably high blood pressure for just not taking care of yourself. Or, like, renal artery stenosis or something. Or she was, like, actually having a, like, frickin' stroke while you were talking to her. She's like, yeah, you know, I woke up this morning with this huge brain hemorrhage. I don't know. Felt like I should maybe come to you and check that out. Seems like my blood pressure might be a little high. Wow, that's a pretty good roll. Alright, alright. Increase melee damage? Okay, sure. Pick it up. Why do I need to drink water if I'm taking water pills? Dude, that's so true. It's so true. Oh my god. You can fix your blood pressure and diabetes without medication. I was pissing out blood, I don't know why. Yeah, because you're like actively exploding your kidneys with your blood pressure. Your nephrons are just like, stop! Please, no! Her creatinine was 9, yeah, so maybe her nephrons weren't doing that anymore. They were gone. They were already gone. Hilarious. Not for her, though. Substantially less hilarious for her. Ain't nothing fun about dialysis, let me tell you. Those people are sick as fuck. Like, even the ones that actually, like, take care of themselves. I mean, you know, like, people do lose kidneys for reasons that are not their fault. So, like, you know, even people who are, like, responsible with their dialysis and, like, you know, generally good patients and well-educated about their condition, they still look like shit. Like, renal failure is no joke, man. It is not good for you. So speaking of which, I mentioned that my first rotation in residency was the renal team. So I saw all the kidney transplants and the people who are in, like, acute renal failure and all that stuff. But, like, I always drink a lot of water, but I have drank a lot more water since then. And everybody at work makes fun of me because I take a suction canister and just fill it with water. It's like a 1.3 liters or something. And the reason I do that is there's no, like, medium-sized cups. Like, all of the hospital cups are those, like, ridiculous little styrofoam things that are, like, 8 ounces. So I'm like, I'm not gonna fill up an 8-ounce cup 40 times a day. That's bullshit. So I'm just gonna drink out of this pea canister. Fuck you guys. Occasionally I'll put tea in it just to really freak people out. I totally drink out of a suction canister, I totally do. Not a used one. But it definitely weirds people out. Like, I leave it in our office, you know, I'm not, like, walking around the OR with a suction canister. But that's pretty awesome, maybe I should consider doing that. Jacob's gonna have a seizure. Probably so. They always seem to find other things that are more concerning to them, though. Ooh, this is good for me. Let's craft that. I want that to go away. Cold res will do. Awesome. Melee damage every time. Yep, don't care about any of that. Alright. Dot me, baby. What is my cold res? 51? Cool. Sweet, so this is going to be an upgrade. Actually, I'll do void res first. Whoa, glad I did that. You freaking 18, all 18 of my forging potential. Fuck. Okay, well, whatever. Dude, Jaco drives me nuts, man. They recently came to our hospital and recommended that an anesthesiologist be present for every surgical start, for every time out. And if you've never been in an operating room, that doesn't maybe strike you as totally unreasonable, but I assure you that it is. Because we cover 4, like, so take first starts. So we cover 4 operating rooms. First start is at 7:30, so you have 4 surgeons who all want to start at 7:30. So somebody is going to be last in line for the anesthesiologist coming by. And who knows how long that takes? Does that mean they're going to be starting at 7:45, at 8? You know, like, that is a terrible idea. Totally untenable. So, yeah. Imagining me slowly pouring that ain't no fucking vaccine. Oh, good times. So, in case anybody is unaware of what Good Gosh Darn is talking about, so the last words of the last patient that I physically watched die of COVID were, "That ain't no fucking vaccine." Like, an ICU nurse asked if he'd been vaccinated, and he said, "That ain't no fucking vaccine," right before he got intubated for the final time. And good gosh darn was so kind as to send me a mug with those words emblazoned on it, which is hilarious. Anesthesiologist signs off in the induction and leaves. Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. Like, a lot of times I'm not even there, to be honest. It's so fast paced that you just have to triage. You know, if you've got like a 70-year-old having a carotid and like an 18-year-old having some sort of like, you know, knee surgery or some shit, like, guess what? The 18-year-old gets to go to sleep on their own. Which isn't ideal. I don't like that, but that's how it is. In our operating room, it's not like huge, you know? So it's, if something does go wrong, I'm like literally a 10-second walk away. So I'm pretty comfortable with that, but it's still like the suggestion courtesy of Jaco is totally untenable. Technically, wasn't he correct? Wasn't who correct? The Jaco person? I don't know. I mean, the rules for all of these things change all the time. They kind of just like make them up as they go, frankly. The vaccine guy that passed away. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess technically he was. Like, makes that statement and then launches into an explanation of why exactly it's not technically a vaccine. Now that would have been hilarious. Priorities, dude. Damage while wielding a dagger, huh? Is that something that I can make work for this build? Why don't I try crafting it? Let's see. So this... I'm just gonna chaos that and see what happens. Health! Sweet. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted, actually. Let's see. This has Fizz Pen with Bleed, which is really good. I think this might be a fool's errand, trying to find something that competes with that. Even if I did find a dagger that was really good. Maybe I'll just put a bunch of decks on it and see what happens. Nope, I don't want that. Did I just have 3 straight critical successes? That's cool. Ah! Alright, let's see what that does to my damage. Wow, yeah, way down. Okay. That's kind of what I thought might be the case. Bye-bye. That have LP on it. Yeah, I'm kind of getting to the point where I only want uniques that have legendary potential on them, which is fantastic. Let's see. Oh, Matt, I meant to mention you, where's your anesthesia rotation? Is it at your home program, or is it somewhere else? I only did one away. I only did an away at KU, which is where I matched, ultimately. And, like, I had a pretty good idea I wanted to go there, but I didn't know for sure. I had heard nothing but good things about their anesthesia program. And it was very good training. I mean, residency is just crap regardless of where you go. Oh, at Cook County? Oh my god. In Chicago? You are gonna see some shit there, man. That's gonna be... That will be cool. That will be very cool. Let's see. Okay. Already got that. Did a rotation there last month. PML? Really? That's weird. I mean, I guess if you're gonna see it, it's gonna be there. They've probably got tons of HIV patients. PML is one of those weird, for anybody who doesn't know, it's one of those weird infections that you basically only get when you have HIV. Like, you have no immune system. She was 30? Yikes. Would not recommend getting PML, just for the record. That dark stride. Yeah. With LP at that.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Still didn't put this away. Boop. Acid Fletch? I want that. There you go. Alright, take my uniques, please. Now that you can't sell arena keys anymore. Yeah, you have to have AIDS. Like, actual AIDS. Not just HIV. True. Fair point. Yeah, I had a couple friends in my class who did emergency medicine, and they did residency in Cook County for emergency. And I was like, dude, you are going to be able to handle freaking anything after that. Like, if anybody is unaware, Cook County is the, like, basically the safety net hospital for Chicago. So they see all the gang activity, all the, like, crazy bullshit. You know, people who have no medical care come in with, like, ridiculous ailments, totally complex, ludicrous pathologies and stuff. So that's, like, you will see freaking everything there. You know, like, gangers coming into the ER to, like, finish an unfinished job, if you know what I mean. He said, like, one of my friends said he saw that, like, a lot. Like, they'd get somebody in a shooting, and then there'd be, like, a bunch of thugs coming in, like, looking for those people, trying to cap them in the ER. Your IM residents don't learn to intubate? Really? It's kind of weird. Why not? I mean, I guess if you're medicine, that's kind of a meh skill. Watch him do a sim, and there's a resident who's a pulmonologist in his home country. Usually she's not going home with all her teeth. That's awesome. Yeah, my experience with internal medicine residents and like procedures of any kind really has I would say overall not been a positive one. They mean well, but they don't get quite enough experience with those sorts of things to be proficient, for sure. And I mean, that's alright. Like, professionally, they probably won't do that, unless, like you said, they go into critical care, so. Like, we were always put in this really awkward position where the senior anesthesia resident, so I think this is pretty standard, but we did a month of ICU in our first year, and then a month of ICU in our third year. So by the time you're third year, you're pretty good at all things critical care, and, like, you know, don't really need much help taking care of the stuff that they want you to do there. So we were basically like line coaches for the internal medicine fellows. And, you know, so we'd like show up and watch the pulmonary fellows, or like, you know, put a central line in, or the nephrology fellows place a dialysis catheter, or something like that. Residents asked if there was any opportunity where they could intubate. There's no scenario where you should be intubated. That's hilarious. Also probably true. Yeah, one of the legendary stories, in my mind at least, that happened during residency was fortunately not something that I was a part of, but one of my good friends, whom I actually work with now, was sort of like, quote, supervising, though that's not something you can technically do in residency, a nephrology fellow putting a dialysis catheter in. And so my friend, co-resident, was like, you know, hey, you, like, you know, he got him like all set up, and he's like, hey, you okay? Like, you know what you're doing? you know, I'll come back and just, I have to, like, go do this thing, and I'll come back and check on you and see how it's going. So, like, my friend's doing whatever he had to do, and, you know, sees people kind of, like, rushing into this room, and, like, I guess the patient started doing really badly, while, you know, during line placement. And so they get all of these, you know, scans and shit, and, like, see what's going on. And it, like, looks like the patient's having a stroke, so, you know, everybody runs in, they're like, oh shit, what's happening? And they scan this guy, and he had, the, fellow had placed the, so do you guys know what a dialysis catheter looks like, before I go further on this? So it's huge, it's really big. It's like a mechanical pencil, basically. So you're, like, putting a mechanical pencil in somebody's neck, pretty much. So this is what it looks like. You can't... Wow, those are expensive. I didn't realize they were that expensive. I'll see if I can get a thing that, like, gives you an idea of scale. But that might not be possible online. But suffice it to say they're big. Mechanical pencil is about as good as we're probably going to do. I would say it's too much. Yeah, that's a shitload of money for a piece of plastic, right? Molded plastic. Sterile or not. But anyway, yeah, it's big. And so this patient's doing really badly, and they scan him, and he had this placed in his esophagus via his carotid artery. So you're supposed to be in the internal jugular, which is here. Right, it's the blue one right there. So he went through the carotid, all the way midline into the esophagus. And that went badly, as you might imagine. That did not go well. It's too much catheter for the average person. Sort of like Ron Jeremy of catheters. But yes, the average person doesn't require dialysis, however, so I think we're okay. So interesting point of fact, to be considered a viable, so backing up a step. So when people get dialysis regularly, they'll have something called a arteriovenous fistula created, which is basically like they make an artery and a vein like join together, like a vascular surgeon goes in and like cuts a hole in both vessels and like stitches them together so they're open, and that helps blood flow through the dialysis machine so they can actually like clean these people's blood out, do what their kidneys can't do anymore. So to be considered functional, a dialysis or a fistula has to flow 1 liter per minute through it. So if you're like really in dire straits and you've got a patient who, you know, doesn't have decent vascular access to like give them the blood or whatever that they need, you can actually stick their fistula and resuscitate them through that pretty easily, actually. Because that's like central line, like central circulation, blood flow, volume, essentially. Don't recommend doing that because it will bleed like a motherfucker, but if somebody's dying and you have no access, that's an option. The Doctors of Gaming Discord, yeah. Talking about how you saw a 7-inch LP needle? Oh yeah. It's for anterior lumbar puncture. I have used that. We refer to those needles as the harpoons. Yeah, so when you're doing an epidural in somebody, like a normal, fit, thin person, you know, normal BMI, the depth of their epidural space is like 5-ish centimeters. You know, 5 to 6. Well, 4 to 6. The deepest I have ever gone, so the big needles are 15 centimeters. So they're like 6 inches. 6+ inches. I have hubbed and tinted one of those before in a patient. That is the hardest epidural I've ever done. And actually, I didn't do it, I guess, technically, because my epidural failed. I had to call one of my partners. I spent like an hour on it. I am really good at epidurals. And I called one of my partners and he couldn't get it. And ultimately we did it under fluoro, which is really confusing because she was pregnant. But yeah, that was bad.
That was close.
Yeah, so some people are gigantic. Is the moral of the story. Like, can you imagine having 10 centimeters? Imagine having 10 centimeters of extra back fat. That's 4 inches of fat on your back, on your spine. Shorter needle has a better personality. Something like that. The CRNAs? I hope CNAs aren't doing spinals on anyone. That is terrifying. One of your classmates was like, how do you do an LP on a bigger patient? Your professor said, just get a bigger needle. I mean, that is true. That's exactly right. You go fishing a little bit. Yep, you just, they're challenging. And unfortunately, those are also the people who often ask you, what's taking you so long? Well, you have 4 inches of extra spinal fat. So it's making it a little bit more difficult than usual. But thanks for asking. The other fun thing to hear is, are you done yet? Like, yes, I'm done, so I'm sitting back here poking you in the back, despite the fact that I'm already done. Yep, I sure am. Okay. Oh, medicine. Such a privilege. But yeah, circling back to what we were talking about earlier, I'm very interested to see how the thing that does the stuff with the numbers, charting outcomes. See how the charting outcomes goes. That's gonna be a wild ride, man. Pulmonologist resident was giving a lecture about thoracentesis and saying how they don't have ultrasound, so they just percuss for the liver and they would accidentally poke it a lot. Ugh. Livers don't like to be poked all that much. They do tend to vehemently object by way of bleeding a lot. So, that sucks. That sucks a little bit. How do you know if you poke it? You know, a lot of times you don't until, like, so you either clog your needle, you like take a core biopsy of the liver, which is possible, or you find out later when the patient's like, oh, my right side really hurts, and then they go in, there's like a huge ass hematoma there. Accidental liver biopsy, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, hopefully poking your liver doesn't make it fail wholesale. That would be bad. But it does bleed, and sometimes they do have to go in and drain those, drain the hematoma that's created. That happens. Get the TT treatment, yes. Oh, the Donald Trump treatment. Oh. Is that what happened to him? Somebody just like poked a hole in his liver and he's like, I don't know, now I just look like this. Just turn orange. Get a thoracentesis in a foreign country without ultrasound. Look like Donald Trump. Perfect. That sounds like some Tijuana surgery shit to me. Ah! Fuck that. Stop your crazy ass dragon breath, fool. feel like you were making a lot of jumps. It's okay. I was not keeping up with you apparently, but that's all right. we came around. I like it when guys have yellow eyes. Weird. So weird. Good chains per good sword. Alright, take those. Ooh, that's a lot of health. Average GI fellow. I mean, that is one of the things on his radar, so perhaps. Cool. Okay. Wish the healing effectiveness was better on that. Bummer. Damage with the sword and quick multi? Yeah, that's cool. I wonder what the fellowship matches are gonna look like. I don't really follow that, but I wonder if it's like with the increase in competitiveness of all things not primary care, I wonder if that's also gotten more competitive through the years. You had a patient that looked and sounded like me, and you were like, wait a second. That would be interesting. I don't think I've been to a doctor for any sort of malady, actually, for ever. I mean, when was the last time? I mean, probably like when I broke my wrist. I was like 9 years old. It's been a long time. I've been fortunate and very healthy. Fellowship has always had more seats than applicants. That's not really true. Like the competitive stuff, like GI and cardiology. What are the other really competitive medicine ones? Well, I can't think of any others, but those I know are like I think the match rate is still really high because there aren't like all that many applicants. Like the match rate for GI was what, like 83% or something. I think we looked at that some like recently. It was either last year or 2 years ago. GI and buttfuck Guineana. That's an interesting choice of expressions for GI GI practice. But yeah, if you want to do GI, like really the way to do it is, I mean, this is the case for any procedure-based specialty, but you want to do it in a major metro area where you just have volume. Unless you do it for some health system that's just like willing to pay you equivalent to, you know, what you would do with a high volume in an urban area just to get you there. Which is possible. That does happen, for sure. They're just like, you know what, we understand that you can make 600 grand in, you know, big city X, so we'll just pay you that. Fuck it. Come out here. Like, yeah, we know that we're gonna lose money, but it's all federal funding anyway, so who gives a shit? It's a critical access hospital. Get out here. I see what you did there. But yeah, that's so the notion that there have been plenty of fellowships for those seeking them is kind of why I wonder if people are like increasingly seeking to do internal medicine to get out of internal medicine, if that makes sense. Like it's just their like stepping stone to whatever they actually want to do. Because that's always sort of been the meme, right? Is like, you know, internal medicine is just like a gateway to whatever you're actually interested in. What the fuck is that? Why is it not showing me any of the things that are there? to the anesthesiologist you work with is telling the story of a GI doctor whose wife divorced him, started dating an opera singer. This guy serenades you and you look at buttholes all day. I mean, yeah, who makes more money though? I mean, possibly true, however. Huh. Wonder why that's not showing me stuff. I'm so confused, and I also would love to see it, because apparently there is something there that I want. Damn it. 60+ Serbian woman. She has no filter. I mean, maybe her niece is very nice. Give it a shot. Alright, I'm gonna give up on whatever item that is and move on with my life. I love nasty, inappropriate old women. There's just something really enjoyable about that. You get that every now and then. There's just like some old lady who's like just totally shameless and like hits on you. Like, you made my day. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now you're gonna go to sleep. I don't want to talk about this anymore because it's weird. But this brief, very awkward 5-minute interaction has been truly fantastic. So thank you for that. Engineer who works for United? I mean, that seems pretty good, right? So she's not an idiot, at least. Has a job. There's a lot to be said for that. The door flying off the plane a couple months ago. Like, did you build that door? You should ask her. Ask her if she's responsible for constructing the doors. Would I be able to anesthetize a cat and wake it up safely? Probably. Yeah, I mean, mammals are kind of mammals. You know, there are definitely some pretty significant differences in terms of like anatomy and stuff, obviously, but you know, they still have a larynx and a glottis and all that sort of shit. So yeah, I could probably do that. Probably wouldn't be the like smoothest, cleanest anesthetic in the world, but it'd, you know, you just, as long as you do weight-based dosing, you should probably be fine. Good pickup line, you get punched or she laughs. Yeah, exactly. You save yourself a lot of time, right? Like, if you get punched, you're like, cool, good date, have a nice night. Enjoy your drink, I'm out. Yeah, we watch a lot of, like, zoo, you know, these, like, high-end zoo shows where they do, like, animal surgery and shit on site, and my wife always jokes that these, like, the veterinarians are better doctors than I am, which is probably true, to be honest. She's like, they can do surgery and anesthesia? But where are you, man? What's the problem? The patients who need to get sent to the zoo because there's no MRI. I know, that's hilarious, dude. I've done that a few times. I've had to arrange that. That's gotta be the, like, you know, if that isn't the wake-up call that you need to start, like, changing your lifestyle, I don't know what is. Like, this giant-ass hospital doesn't have equipment to accommodate you, so you're going to the zoo. They have to be good at treating mammals and reptiles. Yeah, it's really impressive, actually. I mean, it sounds like a fucking hard job, because you've got to know all of these different physiologies. Like, mammals in particular are, like, you know, pretty similar overall. But then, like you said, yeah, you got to know avian physiology and, all, you know, lizards and shit. Like, yeah, I don't know. That sounds like a lot to me. People totally get sent to the zoo for imaging if they're too big. They absolutely do. It sounds fucking crazy. And I mean, it is crazy for sure. But, yeah, no, that happens. Like I said, I have personally had to arrange that on a couple occasions. And it's always very interesting conversation to have with the person. Like, well, you know, the weight limit of our MRI machine is, you know, X amount of pounds, and the limit is this size. And, they have one that fits on rhinoceroses at the zoo, so guess where you're going? Yeah, that's totally a thing. Absolutely a thing. Yeah, people are, they find ways to destroy their bodies pretty impressively. And that's a, like I said, that's a real good sign that you've done that. You've definitely destroyed your body. Yeah, medicine these days is a wild ride, man. When it's just, like, normal for people to weigh, like, 300 plus pounds. That is, I mean, just think about that. That is crazy, dude. I think something, like, over a third of the US is considered obese. And that's dramatically increased. Well, I'll have a look at that as soon as I can kind of get to a point where there's not shit trying to kill me. I always think my falcon is an enemy that I have to kill. It's a bit of a problem.
Easy. Too easy.
Imagine being in such massive food availability that we created diseases that are because of overconsumption. Yeah, well, we're there. We have done that. In spectacular fashion, I might add.
Not happening.
And we've done it for long enough that these people are just sort of chronically that way. Let's see. Obesity US by year. Yep, by yurt. There you go. Let's see. So this is from 2018, I guess. USA Facts. It seems like a sort of questionable website, but whatever. Obesity. So they say over 40% of the population is obese. I don't know that I believe that. Check if they're selling supplements. Yeah, they probably are, right? West Virginia apparently has the highest obesity rate in the country. Alabama, Kentucky, yeah, hey, what a surprise. It's all southern states, go figure. Let's see. Now here's the NIH, that's more useful. More than 10, well, I guess those are accurate numbers, holy shit. 42.4% are obese, Jesus. What about East Virginia? Damn, man. severely obese. What are they saying? Severely obese? Is that 40 plus? Yeah, dude, we do see a lot of 40 plus BMI people roll through, that's for sure. Especially in OB. I don't know what it is about OB, but there are lots of large ladies. Like, that's just kind of, I'd say that's like almost more common than not. Have somebody that's like 35 plus BMI. Yeah, I'm one of my favorite moments from streaming actually was when I put myself in a BMI calculator and found out that I'm obese. I am not functionally obese, but my BMI would indicate that I am. Yeah, I think mine was like 31 or something, 32.
Who are you?
I have no time, get out! Workshop? This is a very interesting song. That was a great moment. Yeah, I'm glad you were here for that. That was very fun. I enjoyed that very much. One of these days we'll get back to routine streaming, doing weird bullshit like that all the time. It's actually like remarkably easy to be obese by BMI. If you're like, especially if you're like muscular or something. Or both fat and muscular, which is kind of my current problem. The void is inevitable. Burn, you're depressing me, man. So I'm going to kill you. Ah. This song's cracking me up, man. I love it. You gained 45 pounds on Lexapro? Jesus, dude. That is unfortunate, man. I know that's, you know, weight gain's pretty common on all those SSRIs, but Jesus, that's a lot. That's a lot of weight. You could be like everybody else and be like, ah, it's my thyroid. Lifting like a monster. Yeah, I did that in college, actually. I had never lifted for strength, and my roommate was he was like 6'3", 6'4", really scrawny dude, but he was joining the Marines. He was enlisting in the Marines over the summer, and so he wanted to bulk up. I was like, well, shit, I'll lift with you, because I went to the gym, you know, 5 times a week, pretty often, and so I power lifted with him, and I gained 15 pounds in a month. It was ridiculous. I was like, I need to stop doing this, because I will be muscle bound very soon. I don't want that. Wait a second. 13 reduced damage taken on block? That's really good. Why is that not on my filter? Love the item filter in this game, by the way. There we go. Confirm. Update that shit. What's wrong with being muscle bound? It's just, like, the reason that I go to the gym is, like, to practice how I actually, like, use my muscles. So I didn't really, like, I need to be flexible and move around. You know, I don't want to be, like, this weird hulking mass kind of slowly plodding through the OR. I want to be, like, healthy with Like these days I do really slow reps because I just like I don't need to be any stronger really, and I don't want to like rip a freaking muscle off the bone. You know, so it's all about like tendon and ligament strength. So that's why my exercise is always like targeted being functional. And muscle bound does not equal functional in my life. Never has.
Might have to drop something.
Lost 50 pounds before med school, so you just like put it right back on. You're just like, I got this to spend on Lexapro, let's do it. Why not? When summer hits, I'm gonna hit the gym again. Yeah, I have been extremely bad about that over the past year. I've just been so tired all the time, man. My daughter is just like brutalizing me. As soon as she's on like
Might have to drop a mine.
something of a reliable schedule, I'll be able to do that again. Which I greatly look forward to. Ah! Guys, I'm trying to fucking shatter my armor here. Can you not see that? The hell? Oh, I put that on instead of my... Oh, that could have been bad. Swapped weapons unintentionally. Ugh.
Not happening.
You there, help me.
Elder Urza. Size 31 jeans. I am not a size 31. I don't actually know what I am. I think it's like 34 or something. Confirm quest. Man, they have dramatically improved the quality of the songs on Stream Beats. It used to be like okay. I mean, I guess it's still okay, but the production quality is way freaking better. And the variety's better too, actually. 5'9", 210. That's like exactly how big I am. Oh shit! Wasn't paying attention to that. Well, join me in obesity, brother. Welcome to the club. Because you're in it, whether you like it or not. Ah, come on, spawn, dude. There you go. I would prefer to not perish, if that's alright. Giving a lecture to high schoolers? Why are you lecturing high schoolers? Oh, is that your, like, tutoring thing? I only went to med school for the Lululemon discount. I've heard of worse reasons to go to med school. Actually, I haven't. That's pretty bad. Medical interest club? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I used to, every now and then I would go back to my high school and talk with some of the teachers there. And they'd, you know, say, hey, come talk in front of our kids. And I just really have no interest in that anymore. Honestly, I don't have the time. I think it's kind of fun, but I just cannot be bothered, quite frankly. Oh no! He was almost dead! Terrible. Show your med school ID in the store and they'll give it to you? Really? At Lululemon they give you a discount? Huh. Go figure. I did not know that. Oh, they counted it. Nice. Belt shard drop rate. Sure. We'll do body armor for sure. Nice. So I guess that counts as completed? Open that portal. That's super weird. I have never, like, posthumously killed a boss before. Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess that counted. Weird. Huh. Alright, well, let's go back here and go empower all my monoliths. True end game. Just get the experience randomly when I'm just teleport back in. The game has no idea what to make of that situation. I enjoy that. I broke it. I broke that shit. Am I empowered? Yeah, baby. Alright, I guess time to do the other ones, huh? Well, on that note, I should probably call it a night, considering I did get up at more or less 3:45 this morning. Snoozed a little bit till 6:30, but it's an early morning for this guy. So, thank you guys for choosing to finish out your weekend with me. I appreciate it. Hopefully you had fun. It's a good stream. I enjoyed it. I might be on Wednesday. We'll find out. It's always a crapshoot these days, but it's getting a little more reliable. So, hopefully I'll see you then. But if not, don't forget to join Discord. !Discord gives you the link. Actually, it's linked just there in chat. Spoiler, he won't. Hey, whatever, fuck you, man. I was on last Sunday. I was on a week ago. Anyway, you guys have a great week. Take it easy. Hopefully I'll see you around Discord, but if not, I'll catch you when I see you. Bye-bye.